coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
And this is sort of my pet peeve, so to speak, is unlike any other sport, vocal athletes take all things that happen to them as their own fault. So any injury, any loss of voice, even illness that takes their voice, they internalize it as a lack of ability.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
It is indeed the Making Waves VO podcast presented by our good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Bobby, this is, how's your week been, by the way?
It's a good week. I'm glad it's Friday.
Yeah. And the day that we are recording this episode, it is a Friday. It is a gorgeous Friday here in Nashville. So we're kind of loving this springtime a little bit early. Excited about that. But we have a unique episode of the Making Waves VO podcast today. Bobby, we've never had a guest on like this.
No, we haven't. And I was just going to say, I bet the weather where she is like this way all year long and Beverly Hills.
Well, we're going to talk about vocal health on this episode of the Making Waves VO podcast, and we're so happy to have with us laryngologist Dr. Reena Gupta, founder of the Center for Vocal Health in Beverly Hills. Dr. Gupta, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. And you are right. The weather is indeed stunning. It might even be tipping into too warm, but I know better than to complain.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we were in Los Angeles in January, and it was beautiful weather because it was like, upper 50s, lower 60s, and it was a little bit chilly there for you guys, huh, Dr. Gupta?
It was, and I'll tell you, I was actually in Nashville, funny enough, in January, the week before the storm hit, and I fled. I fled back home to this, to the 50s, which I still complained about, but less vociferously than if I had been dealing with an ice storm, I think.
Yeah, we got it pretty bad here. Well, let's get into this, Dr. Gupta. I read where your inspiration was maybe when you're around teenage years, when you were doing some singing, and it sounds like you did a lot of singing for fun, choirs and theater and different things like that. Tell us about the inspiration to become a laryngologist.
It's a favorite story of mine because I think it really shows the value of educators and teachers in our lives, the people who are willing to see something in you and help it to shine. So really from elementary school on, I had the really good fortune of being in the room with music educators who I connected with. And I always knew I was going to be a physician. My parents are both doctors. It was just written in the stars. And I was never really thinking about what field I wanted to enter. And I just sang for fun. And in 8th grade, my music teacher felt like I had a certain talent for it. So she cultivated it through high school, through college. And then I was blessed to be in one of the few medical schools in the probably world that has a choir. And I missed singing. So even though I was spending, 18 hours a day in the library, I would carve out that 1 hour and attend choir practice. And again, good fortune, the conductor of the choir is a laryngologist. And he pulled me out of the choir after practice one day and he said, "Are you a med student?" He's like, "We never get med students in here. It's usually nursing students, PT students, just, people who I think would make more time for something that is of interest to them." And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Well, you should come to the office. If you like music, I know you like the voice, you will love what I do." And he was not wrong. This was Bob Saddleoff, one of the real grandpappies of laryngology. And I shadowed him for a day. He starts his day at 7 a.m. and finishes it at around 7 p.m. and not a minute of a break in between. And the time flew by. It was just, I saw the first exam of the vocal cords that I'd ever seen in my life. And that was it. I was a first-year med student. And I said, I'm eye on the prize. I'm going to get a fellowship in laryngology with this man. And fast forward 9 years, I did.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Dr. Gupta, I want to follow up with that. It's something I watched an interview and you were talking about this, and I've seen it peppered throughout your website. But Can you describe for our listeners, what is a vocal athlete?
I think you are. I know you are.
Hey,
That's what Kevin said before we started.
thanks for noticing.
This is, I kind of go back to the basics. How do you define an athlete? How do you define sports? It is functioning with a body part at its highest competitive level, training, deriving your income from it, investing skill and talent and energy into it, and being excellent at it. Right. So, what about that does not apply to voice acting? Just because it also applies to football doesn't mean the same language applies.
I am stealing this on my website. I'm going to put in parentheses vocal and put pro athlete.
That's it.
When I feature patients on my website, I say their name and then I say, what's their vocal sport?
Wow.
Really?
That's amazing. That's really cool. That empowers us, that makes us feel good.
Well, truthfully, it is somewhat selfish and mostly selfless because it should empower you to do what? What do athletes do around their sport? They invest in their health. They invest in their body, in their nutrition. They don't take it for granted. When something feels off, they seek attention. So it is, yes, about empowering you to realize the extremely high level at which you are functioning, to be proud of your exceptional talent and skill and practice, but also to kind of empower you to seek the infrastructure around your sport that athletes in other sports create. They have a PT, they have a coach, they have a doctor, and they see them regularly. One of my big, soapboxes is the annual vocal physical. Every athlete in every other sport gets checked once a year. They don't want surprises mid-season, but my vocal athletes live in the land of surprise. Everything was going fine. Then, oh my gosh, I have no idea what happened. And I haven't been scoped in 5 years. I've never been scoped and I'm 10 years into a career. So, the selfish part of that is, yes, it brings you into my office, but that's about it. After that, it just allows me to take better care of you. It allows me to get you back on the road proverbially faster. And I think that it also helps you to feel really invested and not detached from this thing that lives inside you that you can't touch and see and feel. It's very, very applicable, the language. So I believe in it deeply.
Well, let's talk about those of us who are ignoring the signs and, really overusing our voice or fatiguing it or whatever you want to call it. How do you define vocal fatigue versus vocal injury?
Interesting question, because I think that let's pretend it's not voice. If I am a runner and I fatigue at 5 miles normally, and now I'm fatiguing at 1 mile, I'm suspicious of injury, right? Something has changed in my system to make me fatigue faster. So too for voice. So when I think about fatigue, I think, okay, what did you used to be able to do that you can no longer do? And singers and voice actors are really notorious for saying, oh, it's just aging, but they're coming into my office in their 30s. And I'm like, no, the voice doesn't age like that. It doesn't age overnight either. So if you could do it last week and you can't, and you're feeling fatigued today, that's a sign of something. So when I think about fatigue, I think about loss of efficiency, loss of agility. So for voice actors, it's going to be the prosody of your speech. Are you able to modulate? Are you able to pitch where you usually can? And if not, that could just be simple fatigue. It could be muscular fatigue, or it could be a sign of early injury. And so my answer to your question is, unfortunately, they're on a spectrum of the same thing.
Oh, wow. Wow. My mother was not into voiceover at all. She was a stay-at-home mom. And by the time she became my age, she had a definite rasp to her. And I hear it, you're probably hearing it in me right now. And I keep thinking, how bad is it going to get? Is there anything that I can do to turn this around? But it's a threat to our careers when this happens.
And I guess I would flip that right on its butt and ask you, you have something you're concerned about that is threatening your sport, your ability to do your sport. And this is not to target you, but this is a question I ask myself and my patients all the time. What is stopping you from getting checked? And you don't have to answer that, but I think that this is an important thing for all vocal athletes to ask themselves, because they feel the little things and they hesitate. And is it because you don't know who to see? You don't know if you can afford it. You are afraid of what you're going to find out. And by really being honest with yourself about what the hesitancy is, often you can say, okay, I can handle whatever this person tells me because I'm entrusting them with this really precious instrument. So I'm going to go in, or, I'm going to ask them for a referral to somebody in my network, or whatever your challenges are. I think that people are so afraid of the answer. And I really see the answer as just step one of healing. Once we know what's going on, we can fix almost everything. But living in the gray of like, maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm dehydrated, maybe I have nodules, maybe I'm old, maybe I'm young, maybe it's just, what are you going to do with the maybes?
Hang around. We'll be back shortly.
What's up? What's up? What's up? This your boy Trey Mosley. And this is the Making Waves VO podcast with Double K, Kevin Kilpatrick, and my girl, Bobby Maxwell. Give a listen, y'all.
Wondering which mic fits your voice? How to dial in your booth? Or which interface to make your sound shine? Full Compass has been guiding pros for nearly 50 years, so you can trust them to help build your perfect VO setup. From essentials like mics, headphones, and cables to advanced gear like mixers, DAWs, and interfaces, Full Compass has you covered. Get free expert advice. Call 800-356-5844. And for unbeatable prices, go to fullcompass.com. Full Compass. We know VO.
Making Waves returns. We do a lot of things as voice actors and as human beings. We do a lot of things regarding our voice that could be compromising the health of our voice. Dr. Gupta, if you would you rate these 3 items on a scale of worst thing you can do for your voice to like not quite as bad? So basically, I think all these are going to be kind of bad, but you rate the worst. So number 1, whispering. Number 2, throat clearing. Number 3, too much coffee with too little water. Those 3 items.
Okay. I'm going to just blow your mind. They're all fine.
What? Really?
Throat clearing?
See what I did there?
All fine. So
Really?
vocal mythology is very deep. And
Right.
so our job is to dispel it. That's what we're doing here today. Let's start with the most precious, which is coffee. I'm drinking it now. You will pry it out of my cold dead hand.
Exactly.
The reason coffee gets a bad rap is twofold. One is people think of it as a diuretic, so they think it's dehydrating. Science has repeatedly proven it is a break even at worst because it's mostly water. So a little bit of extra pee is not going to counteract the liquid that you're drinking. So we're going to nix that piece of it. Reflux. Does everybody reflux from caffeine? No. If you know you do, then yes, coffee is going to be a trigger for you that you're going to want to avoid. Just like I know when I eat spicy food, I'm throat clearing for 30 minutes after. So maybe I don't want to do that the day before I have to do something vocally important. So there's no generalizations. And before you gave me your list, I was going to say the doctor's answer to everything is it depends. Because it's a human body, right? So it depends. Why are you, perfect segue, throat clearing? Right? Is it bad for you? No, because it's worse for you to sit with this glom of mucus on your cords that you are splinting to not clear away, creating muscular tension. Right? So my question is, why are you throat clearing? The only one that I will say I don't want you to do is the habitual one, the one that is for no good reason. And those are so few and far between, I can count them on one hand. Generally speaking, postnasal drip, dehydration, reflux, smoking or vaping, sensitivity to air quality, there's some reason that you are throat clearing. My job is to find that out, help you get rid of that impetus, and then the throat clearing goes away. I would much rather you clear the mucus, though, than let it sit on your cords and create that uncomfortable sensation of like, now I'm super conscious of my voice and the mucus is going to roll between my cords and break my pitch when I need to voice. That's far worse, mentally and physically.
Oh,
I'm glad to hear this.
I am too. And I can say a doctor told me.
Yeah, exactly. Whispering, we say this. Why are you whispering? Right? So it depends. That's going to be my new catchphrase. Are you whispering because you should be on vocal silence rest? and you're cheating. Not ideal, right? So like my post-op patients, I don't want you whispering. Otherwise, if you're like, look, it is easier for me because I'm tired, that's fine. Most of the time, whispering is, because it's muscularly inefficient, it's actually more fatiguing. So if you want to rest your voice, rest it. And if you need to say something, say it. And don't worry about the in-between, which is the whisper.
Wow.
Love that.
Well, let's move to a population in our industry who overuse their voice. We're talking about gaming and doing characters and high energy automotive spots.
Yeah.
Kevin and I both do. So what kind of damage are they doing?
Not necessarily any, but it is high impact sports, right? So compare a boxer to a baseball player. Both are sports, both need support around their sport, but you are not definitely going to get injured in one or the other. The higher intensity the work, right? The higher risk the work, the higher risk of injury. So what happens with the game voices, more than the others you mentioned, is wear and tear. So you get sort of stiffness of the cords because they can't bear that much friction and vibration, and they get micro trauma. So if you hear somebody who's been doing games for a while, sometimes you'll start to hear a little bit of texture in their voice. That is the wear and tear, where it's lost some of its flexibility. But I see video game actors all the time with really healthy vocal cords. So again, just like the boxer, what are you doing to protect yourself against injury? So their tooth guard is going to be your vocal rest day if you did a really vocally rigorous session. There will be, again, if you notice a change in your voice that doesn't get better in a day or two, get checked out. Have a warm up, have a cool down, hydrate really, really well. Eat reflux friendly foods that are not your triggers the day before these sessions. There are ways to do difficult things and protect your voice, but just like any sport, you can do everything right and stuff will still happen. That does not mean you are technically incapable. It means you are functioning at a very high level. And this is sort of my pet peeve, so to speak, is unlike any other sport, vocal athletes take all things that happen to them as their own fault. So any injury, any loss of voice, even illness that takes their voice, they internalize it as a lack of ability or their fault. I hurt myself. I've never heard an athlete in any other sport say, I hurt myself. They say, I got hurt. I got hurt doing my sport. And so the reason I underscore that is when you have a video game actor, you're performing at a very high intensity. The risk of injury is higher. Protect yourself more carefully and accept that the risk of injury is higher. So I guess I don't know that there's like a conclusion sentence except to say this is the nature of sports.
I want to bring up somebody who's very high profile right now, Savannah Guthrie, God bless her. I'm going through a lot. And I know, obviously, she's very, very stressed, but she did have vocal cord surgery at the end of the year and was on vocal rest for a long time. And hearing her in her video that she put out this week, I can just hear that in there. Is stress a part of that in bringing it back? Not
obviously knowing the nuances of our surgical case, typically sure. a vocal polyp or a surgical procedure like that should go well, and you should have a significant return to normal voice. Sometimes things get called things just to make it easy to refer to in the media that are not exactly the whole story. So all of that aside, I will say there's going to be many reasons that her voice isn't going to sound normal even after vocal surgery, given how long she's been doing what she does at a very high level. Mm-hmm. Stress shows up in the voice with a combination of two things: muscular tension. So it's that squeeze that puts more pressure on your voice, because a lot of vocal athletes manifest their stress in their voices with muscles, the way somebody else might get, a stomach ulcer or knots in their shoulder. Vocal athletes always go to the voice. And then stress increases reflux. So lack of sleep is going to make you also, more fatigued in your voice. So in her particular scenario, it's all of these factors. But for all of us, we know if I'm dehydrated, if I didn't sleep, if I overused it, if I'm super, super stressed and I don't do a warm up, I'm not going to sound great. The voice lives within the body. So whatever's happening in our body is going to show up in our voice.
So we go to sleep, we wake up in the morning, we haven't spoken for, maybe 7, 8, 9 hours possibly. And then we have that really deep voice when we, the first words uttered. Two-part question. Is that because our vocal cords are more constricted and haven't stretched out? And then what is the best way to warm up the voice to get ready for just, average, typical narration voiceover type jobs?
Mm-hmm. Morning voice is, it should be very short-lived. If it's not, it might tell you that you're refluxing when you're horizontal at night, you're postnasal dripping. So our first thing to check off is your morning voice due to a medical problem? Once you've ruled that out, then really a simple warm up. We love straw phonation in this office. If you've not run across it, I think the content on the voice straw is the best.
That's what Sissy Jones told us about, Bobby. We had another voice actor tell us, but please explain it from your point of view.
Yeah, the science behind it is essentially when you make sound through a straw, you're narrowing the aperture through which sound can come out. Instead of your whole mouth, it's now a small straw. That generates back pressure into your throat, and your body then equalizes the front and the back pressure, and it squares off your vocal cords for the most efficient closure. So that's going to be a really good warm up to kind of get efficiency without taxing your voice, because it's very low stress and strain. Typically within 30 seconds to a minute, your voice should be in the pocket. It's a very efficient warm up.
I've got to do that.
Yeah. And it could it be any kind of straw?
The size and length, the diameter and the length do matter. So that's why I particularly mentioned the voice straw. And I believe that might even be what their socials are, voice straw, because it's backed by the science. And so the sizes are correct for the science.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Sorry, in a pinch, yes, obviously you can use a McDonald's straw, but the thing I like also about the voice straw is infinitely reusable. So you buy one set, keep it clean, you're off to the races forever.
Could you use a Wendy straw?
I don't know. Their French fries aren't as good.
I love that this doctor is promoting French fries.
One must. We have to live this life.
Yes. Oh, wow. What about mic technique? So that you're not pushing for volume. You work with a lot of singers, don't you?
Yes, I do. I would say probably like 70% singers, 30% voice actors in my practice.
Okay.
I don't want to ever speak out of turn. And so when it comes to things like even warm up, I was dipping my toes where I don't belong. And my technique is definitely not where I belong. My point would really be to say, get trained to do it so that it gets into your brain with muscle memory and you're not pushing, because I have seen voice actors in the booth and I will tell you, it was the most awe-inspiring thing I've ever seen. And, singing and voice acting are equally athletic. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The physicality, the intensity, the agility that it requires, I had no idea until I saw actually Brad Venable in the booth.
Wow.
And I truly was astounded. And the reason I went to see him was to gain exactly the perspective I did, which is this is what these people are doing with their bodies and voices. So of course it's a sport. And I think that mic technique is going to be best taught then by people who are trainers in their sport.
You don't want to miss what's next. Making Waves returns momentarily.
Hola, soy Jenny Álvarez y estás escuchando el Making Waves VO Podcast con Kevin y Bobby.
Bobby, Full Compass has their finger on the pulse of technology in terms of how it applies to us, we voice actors, musicians, and corporations as well for high-end audio and video equipment. But for we voice actors, they are really staying on top of things. As a matter of fact, Yamaha has had some really cool things drop recently.
Yeah, they have some new product launches. This one really caught my eye. The Yamaha MGX series, the digital mixers there. They come with advanced HDMI USB capture and HDMI pass-through functions. Now, I know you use this kind of stuff. Plus, they enable seamless integration of your high-definition video if you need that, streaming setups, and so much more.
So check that out on the website. Oh, by the way, at fullcompass.com, they have redesigned their website homepage. So it's going to be easier to use. It's a better interface. Make sure you look at the bargains that are going on with Full Compass, because they've always got something on sale that's going to save you money. And can we just brag about Full Compass for just a second, and specifically, Bobby, their fearless leader?
Can I give a little sister power here?
Yeah.
Because I'm all about that. Susan Lipp, she was named the NAM, the NAMM, She Rocks Female Entrepreneur of the Year. And at the awards, she was honored with that. A really powerful recognition of her decades of leadership, advocacy, and innovation in the music products industry. So you rock, Susan, literally.
That is awesome, and it's just one more reason to feel good about doing business with Full Compass. So make sure you go to fullcompass.com. If you want to talk to somebody about your gear and your gear needs, and you want a personal consultation, they will do that absolutely for you and give you the best expert advice without any pressure to sell you anything. Their number is 800-356-5844. And Bobby, they have a shipping policy, right?
Yeah, if it's over $49, absolutely free.
So check it out, fullcompass.com.
We know VO. And now back to Making Waves.
We are talking with the founder of the Center for Vocal Health, Dr. Reena Gupta. And you have a Nashville office, and here in Tennessee, where Bobby and I are, it's called the Pollen Belt, and we're coming up to pollen season. My goodness. And it seems like every year we get, the runny nose and all these kinds of things, and the vocal stuff is happening. And there's always a flurry of activity in the spring and fall on the voiceover pages on Facebook and that kind of stuff. How do I get rid of this? So, doctor, please tell us, when we have these allergy things kicking in, our voice kind of sounds like this or whatever, what can we do? It's honey tea with lemon and, maybe a hot toddy. Doc, please tell us, what should we do?
First, nothing you eat or drink touches your cords. So you might as well just say the lemon is going to more likely create reflux. So just drink warm water. It'll cut the mucus. It'll get the instrument happy. We have to just understand it's actually fairly straightforward. Why does pollen affect us? We inhale it into our noses. If we're allergic to it, our body starts an allergic response, which means we make more mucus and our noses swell, which makes the mucus drier, stickier, and harder to get out. So let's just solve that problem, and we solve the allergy problem and the voice problem. I'm a big advocate for sinus rinse. I'm not giving medical advice, but washing out the pollen will reduce the postnasal drip. Because it'll stop you from making as much mucus because the pollen's not in your nose. And it will prevent your body from having as significant an allergic response. So we do our sinus rinse.
Like a neti pot? Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same company makes something called a sinus rinse. It's a little bit more ergonomic. It's a little bit less likely to end up in your ears, which is the bone most people have to pick with the neti pot. After you do your rinse, do a simple allergy nasal spray. They're all over the counter these days. Astepro, Flonase, pick your preference. I don't want to say poison. Pick your preference.
Careful.
One spray each nostril. I know they're going to come for me. And that should be good. If not, get evaluated. Figure out what you're allergic to. There's desensitization shots and drops. There's so many options. The only thing I'm asking you not to do is muscle through it. Because when you are postnasal dripping, your cords are swollen. That's what lowers the pitch of your voice during allergy season, is because they're waterlogged. So will a warm-up massage that out? Yes. Do you want to have to do this longer warm-up and still have inflamed cords, or just prevent them from getting swollen in the first place? So rinse, spray up to twice a day, allergy testing if it doesn't work.
What if we're taking a daily generic allergy tablet? Is that bad?
I don't love the allergy tabs because they are drying and they don't work as well for postnasal drip. They actually have more side effects and are less effective. So it's a double negative. The rinse and the spray is more fussy than taking a single tablet, but it works 80% better.
Nice. Some good stuff here. How long has your vocal or your voice center in Nashville been here? I
just opened last year.
Excellent.
Really?
What's the address? What part of town?
Yeah.
I'm in Germantown.
Oh,
Okay.
That's not far. I love it.
Yeah. We will be there.
What's that, Doc?
I adore Nashville, and that's honestly what brought me there. It's I'm there every month between me and my therapist. Somebody is there manning the fort, and I'd be honored to take care of you guys.
Well, you know,
Absolutely.
you opened my eyes when you said, just a yearly checkup. Just get a yearly checkup. And I've never thought about that. This is how I make my money. And I've never thought about, taking care of it in that way. Dr. Gupta, I know we're not going to do a nightmare session story, but I did want to ask a question. Have you ever worked with a vocal athlete and they came in with their issue and then they told you how they've been using their voice and then you died inside a little bit because of what they were doing?
No, because
No?
why are you seeing me? You're seeing me because you're an athlete. I take care of athletes. So you can have been screaming for an hour, heavy metal singer, doing 3 shows in a row, no rest in between. My voice athletes work the hardest of any athletes I know. I have a good friend who's a football player. And I asked him about his schedule. And he would say, we would practice, by the way, low impact, highly guided, highly coached sessions for an hour or 2. Then they get their massage, then they get their PT, then they stretch, then they rest. And then they play 1 game. And then they get their ice bath, and then they get their massage, and then they get their PT, and then they're done for the week. How many days a week do you guys work?
Yeah. 6 sometimes.
Okay. Tell me another sport that asks that of their athletes.
Wow.
So nothing you're going to tell me is going to shock me or disappoint me or make me angry or upset at you, because you are in a system that does not celebrate and protect vocal athletes as it should. So you're just doing your best in a system that's kind of rigged against you. And so my job is to kind of just make it easier.
So we have a lot of voice Facebook pages. And it's like every week somebody's on there saying, I just booked a session and I just came down with a cold. And everybody jumps in on, their home remedy. What is Dr. Gupta's recommendation if you have to do that session and you sound like this?
So number 1, because you have already had your annual vocal physical with your laryngologist, you will be able to reach out to her and say, I have a session tomorrow. I just got sick. What can I do? Because you don't want to have to figure it out on your own. Tell me again, another athlete who's like, let me just figure out this sprained ankle on my own when I have to run, right? Never. But the rinse and the spray, highly effective, because illnesses always start in the nose, just like allergies do. That's our filter for our air conditioning unit. So keep it clean, get the viral load down, get the postnasal drip down. Often you can prevent the laryngitis that comes from illness. And then truthfully, a lot of it is going to just be treating it based on the illness of the season. This season, I knew as soon as I got a call, I'm like, you're going to have a cough for 6 weeks unless we do X, Y, and Z. It took me a few rounds of dealing with the illness to know the pattern of this season's illnesses. And that's also why you want to seek help, is because you're just treating you. I'm treating 100 versions of this. So I kind of know by, early September what the season's going to look like. This is going to be very lower respiratory. This is going to be very laryngitis. This is going to be very nasal sinusitis. This tends to have a second wave of inflammation in week 2. So all that to say, you want to be plugged in with somebody who knows how to take care of your voice so that you're not flying by the seat of your pants. And each illness, as you kind of get that experience and expertise with your doctor, you will need me less and less. Like my singers now, my actors, they will reach out. Hey, I got sick 2 days ago. I've been doing the rinse. I've been doing the spray. I do the NyQuil or decongestant at night. And I'm noticing this. Okay, no problem. But you kind of get a rhythm of just like, I sprained my ankle, rest, ice, compression, elevation. Like we have basics. And then you just kind of tweak it according to the flavor of the month.
And the Making Waves VO podcast will be right back.
This is Tracy Thibodeau, and you've got the best VO podcast in all the land right here. The Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby. Enjoy.
Finding the right gear for your voiceover work shouldn't be stressful or expensive. At Full Compass, we make it easy with top quality equipment at competitive prices and free same-day shipping. With nearly 50 years of experience and a team of certified product experts, We're your one-stop shop for mics, interfaces, software, and more. Get free expert advice. Call 800-356-5844. And for unbeatable prices, go to fullcompass.com. Full Compass. We know VO.
And now, back to Making Waves. My final question for you, Dr. Gupta, Bobby may have a final one too, but my final one is, we talked about those checkups. What does a voice evaluation look like if we come in for the yearly? What are you doing in there?
You know I'm going to send you to my website.
Do, please.
Centerforvocalhealth.com. You will find the annual vocal physical there. The idea is, number one, I'm hearing your story. Tell me what brought you here, what your symptoms are, your history of your voice. Number two, show me your voice, whether it's a demo, things you can do, things you can't do today that brought you in. I want to hear it from the actor's mouth. Number three, general ENT exam. Let me look at your ears, your nose, your throat, your neck, give you a comprehensive one-over, because problems will hide there that will give me clues about the voice. I see postnasal drip in your nose. Okay. I know I'm going to see laryngitis. And then the fourth most important piece is the stroboscopy. We're going to eliminate the word scope, because scopes come in many shapes and sizes. And it's the difference between getting an MRI and an X-ray is getting a stroboscopy versus just a regular scope. You want the most high level exam for vocal athletes, which is a camera that goes into your nose or mouth, preferably mouth, because it's higher resolution. And you have a microphone on your neck to pick up the pitch of your voice. And we see slow motion, detailed vibration of your vocal cords. That's the non-negotiable for vocal athletes. So no more scope in the nose, no camera attached, nonsense. You want the highest level exam. That is called a stroboscopy. That's on the site if you want to read about it.
And hopefully you take NAVA insurance, the National Association.
I heard NAVA just released insurance. I got to talk to Tim and kind of figure out how to make this all work.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, this has been fascinating, Dr. Gupta. This is, Bobby, I don't know about you, but this has been one of my favorite episodes. Like, this has just been seriously. We've learned so much, and I'm so glad that clearing your throat is not such a bad thing.
You're forgiven.
My husband says to them at least once a month, do you know how often you clear your throat? And it's like, obviously I don't. Is it bothering you?
We've been chatting.
Clues, pieces to the puzzle. We get to the bottom of it and solve it. No problem.
Yes.
Dr. Reena Gupta, founder for the Center for Vocal Health in Beverly Hills. And I'm so excited there's a Nashville location as well.
I know.
Dr. Gupta, thanks so much for joining us on the Making Waves VO podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Such a pleasure.
All right. And what's your website one more time?
Centerforvocalhealth.com.
All right.
All spelled out.
Excellent.
I'll see you there.
Bobby, I'm serious. That was...
I'm going.
Yeah. Well, that too. But that was one of the most entertaining or informative. I was enthralled in everything she was talking about.
Because we live that daily. I mean, everybody that we've had on, has their thing, and it does relate to a lot of us, but all of us are dealing with our vocal health. So we were just like enwrapped, in what she was saying.
Bobby, we are professional athletes.
I know. I love that. I am so stealing that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. When somebody, it's great. I'm going to be out in public, right? And, you meet people and you're making small talk and, Kevin, what do you do for a living? I'm a professional athlete. And then they look at my gut and they go, okay, must be bowling.
You definitely need to take that beard off him.
Oh, the Making Waves VO podcast, presented by our good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO and VO Health.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.